Hello everyone, it is the build-up show, Liverpool versus Arsenal, to round out what has been a bit of an up and down, but a largely magnificent 2018. Recency bias plays a massive part in that, of course. Chris Pajak, Arsenal. It's cliche, it is what it is. It's a massive game, we're top of the league. Man City looming. And I know Man City are no longer the direct competitors because they've slipped to third or whatever. For me, look, and we all know Man City are going to be there or thereabouts. It would be nice to go in there. Well, it would be nice to be 10 points ahead of them at some points over the weekend.
Yeah, that would be lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. But no, look, I think the focus isn't on Man City right now. Not for the squad, not for Jurgen Klopp. The focus is on Arsenal because we know how good they can be this season. I think they're, at the moment, you can see that they're all happy with their manager. Emery's doing a great job. They've got a forward in Aubameyang that I'd take at Liverpool. I mean, absolutely. He is top draw. That goal he took on Boxing Day, I mean, it's so Henry-esque. Yeah. He doesn't need to take a touch, he just blams the top bin.
I wondered on him, because it was like this time last year, I remember looking at the January transfer window and saying, who can we get? And it was clear that he was going to be available. I wondered if we were playing, if he was available this January.
And we were 4-2-3-1.
4-2-3-1, whether we'd have actually made a move.
I think we would have. And maybe one of the reasons we didn't is because Klopp did know him. Maybe he didn't think he was right for the squad, and he knows he was a top draw player or whatever. But they've got some talented footballers, Arsenal, but so have we.
Yeah.
And we're riding the crest of a wave at the moment. We've played every team in the league, and we're unbeaten halfway through the year. It's about trying to make sure that we can go the next half of the season.
Well, it's about that. It's about not going. It's great, and we were right to enjoy our Christmas.
Yeah,
absolutely right to enjoy our Christmas, but. So now, when we've just literally spent an hour doing the final word, and it's been great, and it's annoying that we then have to immediately go into the show and cut off all that and start looking to the future. But that's what football is.
That's exactly what the footballers have got. Yeah. They've gone into Melwood and they've been told, forget the past, it's gone. Yeah. All you've got to focus on is Arsenal. In Arsenal, they're sort of coming out of the wilderness because they sort of stagnated under Wenger, didn't they? He stayed there like 2 or 3 years too long. Yeah. And so they've suffered for that. And, give him his due, he's actually got them playing decent football. They're pleasing their own crowd again. But they're a bit like us 2 years ago. Yeah. They're new. They look a bit shiny, but also that comes off.
Yeah.
And, they're going through a bit of a sticky patch at the moment. Mm-hmm. Still a dangerous side. You wouldn't want to underestimate them, but hopefully they're not really strong enough yet to be beating us at Anfield.
I think they had going for at the Emirates. I thought they really impressed me, to be honest, John. I thought they look such a threat, and the Aubameyang thing, the Lacazette thing, etc., etc. So we know how good they can be. We've experienced it firsthand, of course. But I think my dad's right. I think, again, it's a football cliche. I don't know how true it is pertains in this regard. But they have only won one in the last 4. They have hit a little bit of a sticky patch, and you can start to see it in the reactions of some of their fans. I think they're starting to see exactly what my dad said there. They started brilliant. It was such a break, such a breath of fresh air for them. But there is a reality to it. We're actually seeing it with Chelsea as well, to some extent. When you get a new manager in, this is the time of the season when you can start with let the shackles off for the first half of the season. Play with freedom. Forget what happened before. You're free. Run free, lads. Football, fun. When you get to this is when you need tactics, and you need to be well drilled. And clubs in those phases of transition always seem to struggle in December, January. We've seen it with Liverpool.
No, I think a similar type of thing happened with the Ev when they got Martinez after Moyes, and you saw that first season they were great, and then things came off after. But I think it's the worst time of year for them. I think in terms of the fact that they can't drill things on the pitch at the minute because of how quick the games are coming and the fact they're still in the cup and stuff. But he's done a lot of the right things in terms of just letting people, like I say, letting the shackles off on a lot of the attacking players that they had, and just saying go out and win us. And he's put Torreira in the middle to shore up at the back. But I just think I don't think it's any coincidence that they've got to the point of the season now where a few of the people have started picking up knocks, and they've never been the best team. Arsenal, I think, are keeping players fit, to be honest. And now some of those people are missing. All of a sudden, it's like, well, we've got to rely on the system, and it's not working for them necessarily. I think he's trying to put a lot of square pegs in round holes at the minute.
Yeah, the balance.
He was getting a lot of praise, Emery, for his tactical decisions and his substitutions and stuff like that, and now they're starting to go wrong.
Yeah.
He took Lacazette off after about an hour the other day, didn't he? Haven't gone with the two forwards. He changed his mind after an hour, and it didn't work. And they changed formation from a diamond to
they played a diamond
4-2-3-1,
last night. Yeah, exactly.
and then that just didn't come off. And whereas they've been strong in second halves in an awful lot of games early in the season, they went totally wrong against Brighton.
This is that point, and it was well expanded on by John Reid there. This is like you see the Liverpool players and the managers talk about it all the time about this phase of the season. You don't train.
Yeah.
You play and you recover.
I think that's the best point, because he needs to be able to get his ideas across to his players still, because he's only had them for a few months. Whereas I think what we're seeing with this Liverpool side at the moment is a lot of muscle memory, but also a lot of trust in each other. And I think that's one thing that we don't talk enough about, especially when it gets to this busy period where there's games. Just knowing what the lad you're playing alongside is going to do is going to make that easier in game. Yeah. Whereas when you're still trying to learn things, you're not quite on the same wavelength as other players. Stuff starts to break down a little bit. Whereas now Klopp's side are like, well, we know what we're doing. We're fully versed in this. We've been doing this for a few years. So when everybody's not training, but you've had a settled three-year period,
we also know the opposition now. Yeah. You listen to Klopp's press conferences now, and he knows all the opposition players. He knows the teams. Then no surprises for him. You get Emery and Sarri coming in. They're coming in through a brand new league. They might have heard of Huddersfield, but what players?
He doesn't have to get his map out every week
now
and go, how far's Bournemouth?
On the wall in his office, remember, Paul?
If he hasn't got time to train his players, they're only recovering and going to play again. He's got no time to work with them on that particular team. Yeah. Whereas Klopp will have already worked with our players against Arsenal, because he's played them, half a dozen times since he arrived.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. So interesting stuff. I think, would we say, based on the amount of creaks we're hearing, that we should probably oil that Ross's chair?
And the turkey butties. Yorkshire pudding wrap, nice word.
Fabinho, I would say he's probably a defo for this game, given he was rested for midweek.
I think so, yeah. I think
was it midweek? Midweek.
At some point over the Christmas period, we don't know the names of the days anymore. It was the Boxing Day one. He was rested. And you know what? He'll have been gutted not to be in the side again, but he comes on and he gets a goal. And I don't know who your first choice midfield is anymore, because they're all playing at a level when they come in now, on a very, very high level. And I've said it for a few months, they're the engine room of this side. And, you've got to keep refreshing that. You've got to keep putting petrol in the tank for the car to keep going and all that type of stuff, because the forwards are going to continue to do what they do. The defence is settled at the back, barring injuries, but they work so hard in the centre of the park. They're the lads that you need to keep changing.
The Fabinho thing is interesting for me, Dad, because he was poor, I think, against Arsenal at the Emirates. He'd just come into the side, and we were so excited to see him play that. He had a great game against Belgrade, he had a great game against Cardiff, well, a good game against Cardiff, and we were like, right, this is it, this is the guy, play him in every single situation, every game, from now until eternity. And then he didn't get to grips with the pace of that game.
It's only a couple of games ago that we saw exactly how good he could be. But in that game, he was totally outplayed by Torreira, wasn't he? And I think that's the battle this time. Yeah. If you can keep him quiet, then the game's won for me. And Fabinho, has his chance to step up and do that.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting, John, because we've now, the change of formation, we've played four arguably formations, or at least 4 different setups in recent weeks. The two in midfield has been the one that's given us the most comfort, I think. It's the one that gets the best out of Fabinho. It's been the one starting to get the best out of Henderson, arguably the best out of Gini Wijnaldum. But we could easily, and this is a team that's going to attack us, we could easily completely flip it and go back to a 4-3-3 for this one.
No, I think we could do, and I think, I agree with your dad there. I think Torreira for them is the key man, but I also think that their defence is very suspect, and they're missing a lot of key personnel, especially Bellerin. I think his recovery for them is key when they fuck up. But he might well do it, and he might just take the attitude, I think, of just kind of like, look, we're in a good vein of form. If we just go at these with everything we've got, score 2 or 3, they're going to their heads are going to go. You know what I mean? They're just going to think, well, they don't really give goals up. You know what I mean? So what do we do here? And it could be that, and then he starts taking players off to, you know, conserve legs and stuff. So it's a tactic I think he might do, because I think, you know, the front five at Arsenal is great, but the back at the minute, there's a lot of work for that team, I think, at the back end of the pitch.
Yeah, well, you know, they've been extolling the virtues of Rob Holding all season. We know he's out for the season, of course. Lichtsteiner's likely to play. Monreal's a doubt. Bellerin out, etc. There's a talk that Koscielny might be out. It bodes well, doesn't it? Considering that
I don't like it. I'll be honest, and the reason why is because I think they know that they can't keep the back door shut, and I think that's like a wounded animal almost. It's like the only way they're going to be able to beat us is to go at us, because I don't think they'll trust themselves to keep it shut.
And I suppose, you know, I think we mentioned this ahead of the Emirates game, is that them being very similar to early Klopp Liverpool, is that what we were very good at the time. It's all well and good being a sticky vein of form, but if you can pin a picture of Liverpool up on a you know, the dressing room mirror and say, this is your target, you can put all your eggs into this. We focus on this. We can find a way to get something out of Liverpool. You know, I mentioned it about the Man United game, but you know, they were just too far gone at the time. Them having that quality up front, Mkhitaryan, he's not been great for them, but it will be a loss. Ozil, who knows what's going on with him at the moment, but the Aubameyang Lacazette thing, as we saw at the Emirates, these are lads that only need a sniff, and they can cause
absolutely problems. Like they're quality players, and factor in that they'd really like to beat us for the Invincibles.
Yes,
you know, their club has that one record above all others at the moment.
Yeah.
And I bet you they'd like to be the ones
their
to
fans are going to be like pigs in shit if they beat us and be the first team to beat us, and there's going to be all that stuff flying around the place. Again, we talked about this on the final word. As us as fans, that's the stuff that gnaws away at us while we're watching games unfold. Hopefully, cross our fingers, Liverpool as a team, as a squad, mentally are beyond that. But yeah, there is that story waiting there, because the second you start to talk about, I said this every year, some team starts the league like a house on fire, and the second you mention the quadruple is the day they get knocked out of the League Cup or the FA Cup. It's just how it works. So, you know,
the fact is, this is the first game really, haven't gone half a season unbeaten, where you're going to get the pressure because of Arsenal's, you know, record. The focus is going to be on our unbeaten record, and if we get through them, then City, and the pressure will then again be on us. The focus, particularly while we're at the top of the league, every game we're going to get that pressure more and more. You know, who's going to beat
well, we
them,
avoided a lot of focus, I think, so far, Dad. And
I think we've done brilliantly up to now.
Because we've been the plucky underdogs, and no one's really believed.
Yeah, we've just sort of come to the last lap, you know, and we've taken the lead, but you know, there's still a way to go. But the pressure now, everyone is watching us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's not like that. not overly enamoured with that. What I like,
how many Arsenal fans watch this?
Probably
there'll be quite a few, won't there? There'll be a few. It's harder to do what City did last year.
I say this right now for any of the Arsenal fans watching, and for football fans in general, I rate that Invincible season so amazing. Highly. Yeah. Like, and I know because it's Man United fans who try to pollute it and like,
you lost in the cup.
You lost in the cup, and you dream loads of games. They didn't lose a game of football in the league. That's amazing. That is absolutely. And if it wasn't amazing, like everyone would do it. It'd be done all the time.
They had an amazing team.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. I love that.
And Robert Pires was probably my favourite player for a long time.
Just fantastic. So yeah, it was a fantastic achievement. And I honestly don't think Liverpool will go unbeaten for the rest of the season. I think what we've seen, and it's how quickly it can change this last 3 weeks. As you know, we were talking on the final word that how, you know, we've gone from being, you know, chasers to comfortably, in inverted commas, clear at the top. 2 games can make a massive difference, particularly with the Arsenal and City looming.
The trick's going to be, if you're going to lose a game, you get rid of that pressure of being unbeaten.
Yeah.
The trick is not to lose another one.
Yeah, the trick is if you stumble and
City
hit
lost
a roll and get
then
back
went
up to your
lost
feet.
2 more. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you only lose 1 and you shore it up quickly.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It does make you think about how incredible that Invincible side is, because we're halfway through the season and it's been tough just to get to this point. And we've not had the pressure of you will actually go unbeaten for the entire season.
I think the good thing they had for the time was they'd been so good for a few years. That was the peak era of Arsenal, wasn't it? From like 98 to 2004 or whatever, when they were just something else. I mean, you can argue
They maybe didn't win
the
enough league
Champions League
titles, to
final.
be fair, with that side.
Maybe, yeah, but you know they were used to being an elite side in the league, whereas it's so hard for us because we want it so badly because it's been so long. What I like though,
imagine now if Liverpool haven't won the league for nearly 30 years and then just go unbeaten.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous,
Yeah,
isn't
no,
it? You know what you should have been doing, lads? Not losing games of football.
That's how you should
loads of Premier League.
best way to do it. Best way to do it. What I like about all this and everything we're talking about here, John, is that Jürgen referenced it in his post-match press conference, is that this is a motivational tool for him. Man City are the motivational tool, whereas they've been in every aspect so far this season. It's like, follow them, stay close, follow that car, stay close, don't lose sight of them, whatever you do. And now it's, well, listen, lads, don't take your eyes off the ball, don't slow down, don't get complacent, don't be
Stay in your lane.
Stay, because the second you take your eyes off the prize, this is what happens to you. This is the best side that's ever been, the best, most expensive side ever constructed, and look at them now, the third in the league. And if you take your eyes off the prize, what's going to happen to you? So I like the fact that Klopp clearly gets this. He doesn't think of it as being a one-horse race or a two-horse race. He's referencing Tottenham, he's referencing City. He knows
Tottenham never went away, he said. He said, you were the ones that stopped talking about him, not me.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the thing, you know, it's great that the manager gets it and is using it as that motivation.
No, I love that he's not putting down the expectations around what we're doing. It's great. I wouldn't want him coming out and saying, you know, that, we're going to go all the way or whatever. That's exactly the opposite of what you need. I think you need to be looking at a City, and as well as saying, you know, obviously look at what they've done and where they are now, but you need to be looking at them and saying, look, wasn't Chelsea who beat them, you know, I mean, it wasn't, you know, us or Spurs, it was, you know, it was Leicester. You know, there's other teams in this league who can do us damage, and, you know, we need to keep it's not just like the big games coming up, you know, and I'm not taking nothing away from Arsenal in not saying they're a big team, because they are a big team.
Leicester are two of the teams that are beaten. So it's a great shout, and Klopp will be using that as he moves forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great shout.
Right, we're going to do our preferred 11s in a moment, but first, it's that time of the show. It is the outbreak, and it is a perfect time for you to sign up to the redmentv.com. Here's everything we got going on over there.
Hello everyone, welcome to Redmen TV.
Well, welcome to Redmen TV.
Right, welcome to Redmen.
When you come here, you can sort of sense that family feeling straight away.
So that's the improvement. That's the development.
Liverpool is, you know, it's building something really important now.
Because we all believe in each other, like we know that we're a good team.
Keep doing your thing. You're watching you. Salah's the best footballer on planet Earth by an absolute country mile.
The third consecutive final word show where everything is amazing.
That is why Liverpool are better defensively than they were last season.
I think Vicky is dead, to be honest. not literally dead, you just killed it.
Coombs is up for Women's Player of the Year.
There's not a single player in that back five that any of us wants to ever not play again.
We all know it's a strange game, that's why we love it, and that's the joy of football, really.
Yeah, fantastic. Is there a better time to have as much Liverpool content in your life as you can possibly have? No, it's literally, we've been doing this. We had Roy Hodgson in charge when we started doing this, me and Chris. It was shit. And now it's absolutely amazing. So get over there. Final words, we've got hour-long reviews in this kind of format, talk about every game. Chris delving in depth into the stats and tactics. We've got the Man of the Match podcast as well. There is the Reds transfer news, so all your transfer news and rumours covered, everything off the pitch. We've got the Liverpool Women's podcast. We have got a whole host of other stuff that is so many things I lose track. But yeah, fantastic content. Perfect time to sign up. It's free for the first month. Go and have a look. Get involved. See how you get on with it. And then it's £5 a month thereafter. You won't regret it. And you can get it as well, not just in video form, but in podcast form. So if you listen to this as a free podcast and you're like, yeah, I like this. I like being able to listen to it on the go. You can get it into your podcast app as well. So yes, all of that stuff. Right. Preferred 11s. John Reid, I will start with you. Nathaniel Klein in at right back, mate.
I think he probably deserves a go, based off his his cameos and his recent performance. I think you've just got to keep things fresh. I think throughout this period, I think is like kind of the bit we need to turn the screw a bit on what's around us and keep sort of, you know, trying to pull a fast one and keeping as much of the team taken over as we can. But I just worry about, you've got the left back conundrum of Andy Robertson's basically played every game we've played this season, and now we're a bit short at the back. Who'd you put there? Yeah. And I think I wonder if the solution is, do we rotate Klein across both full back positions?
Isn't it funny how prior to United that would have been a bonkers shout that you've just thrown in there, throwing Klein in against one of your biggest rivals in the league? But you know, I think it's an interesting point, Chris, because we saw what Klein can do. You know, he's a proper right back. And as much as we were worried about what he might hamper us in terms of going the other way, look, yeah, he doesn't have the quality on the ball that Trent Alexander-Arnold does, but he's not putting a centre half at right back. He got up and down, he supported the attack brilliantly, but moreover, we struggled at times, you know, and particularly when you let the likes of Aubameyang drifting out to the left-hand side, or Lacazette. Trent had a torrid time at the Emirates earlier in the season. He was completely at fault for their equalising goal in the build-up to it. There's a very strong case there. Go and put a safe pair of hands.
He's a quality player.
Yeah.
He's a quality player.
When we signed him, he was an attacking fullback.
Yeah.
He was famous for going forward.
Yeah.
You know, so I think
game's moved on a bit even since
I think he is a good shout. I mean, I think I don't think Trent's going to play every game over the holiday period, and I think Milner's still got his dodgy hamstring. So, you know, Klein's a good bet.
The reason I didn't pick Klein for this game is I actually think he might play him at City away.
Okay.
And I think that, you know, for me, playing at home against Arsenal, no disrespect to Arsenal, but there is a lot riding on that game at City away. And if James Milner's not going to be fit for either, then I'd maybe play Trent in this one and Klein away.
I mean, for Trent, given that he's been out, for them to go straight back in and play 3 games back to back in, 10 days, or probably it's less than, probably, isn't it? It's a very interesting shout. One player that we won't be seeing, just to I meant to mention this earlier, is almost certainly Alberto Moreno. Has everyone seen the Moreno quote?
Oh yeah.
What a little tit. I do not feel good, that is the truth, he told Cadenas. I hate myself giving everything to this team, and I think that when I came back from injury I deserved an opportunity. Situation is normal for a lot of players, but simply I did not like the way he, Jurgen Klopp, has treated me. You can say that. Moving back to Spain is something I've thought about. I'm tired of the cold here, but I do not know what interest from other clubs. My 5th year, there's no agreement on a renewal in January. I'm free to listen to any offer.
But there is an offer on the table.
Can I give him an offer? I'm happy to drive you back to Spain, mate, if you want it. I've defended you little gobshite. It's the first one, isn't it? You know, the first player. We talk about this, how everyone, great unity in the squad, and I think it was Danny Murphy actually said it on Match Today. Great unity in the squad. No one's really kicking over fuss. And there's Alberto Moreno.
I mean, give him, Dewey. He's not getting a look in.
No.
The fans hate his guts, no matter how well he plays.
It is cold.
Why wouldn't you want to go somewhere to play football?
Yeah, and they banned those hoverboard things, didn't they?
They love them.
I'm not sure we've got proper cover, and I'm not convinced Klein is necessary.
Well, we saw him very briefly, didn't we? He came off the bench and played left back.
But he can do a job there, but you lose a lot more from Klein playing left back than him playing right back.
Have we got any younger lads who are actually good enough to...
Yeah, absolutely. Don't know any of the names.
Don't know who they are, but...
Camacho got a left leg.
Yeah, Adam Lewis. Thanks Ross. Why are you in the big books? John, you've gone Henderson, Fabinho, Shaqiri, Firmino, Mane, Salah in a 4-2-3-1. So interesting stuff. Dad, moving on to you then. Another one who's gone for Klein. You've gone for Fabinho, Gini Wijnaldum in a 2-man midfield, and the same Shaqiri, Firmino, Mane, and then Salah up top again. Any reason why Henderson's not in for this one?
City.
Just simply because of that?
Yeah, playing with City.
Okay. Very interesting. Chris, you went very close to a 3-man midfield of Gini, Fabinho, Hendo, and last minute you pulled out, which if you'd done earlier in life, you'd be a very different man these days.
I'd sleep still.
But in this instance, you've gone Gini, Fabinho in the midfield, and you've got the 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, I think Fabinho and Wijnaldum, for me, I think we've seen a little bit more of those two playing together. I really like that as a midfield. I feel like Henderson worked harder than Wijnaldum in terms of his running stats. I can't back that up, but he was all over the pitch. So if there's anything like tiredness or anything like that, I think Wijnaldum would be good to go in this game.
I think the good thing about it is that we've got that option, haven't we? You can pick 2 from 3 of Fabinho, Gini, and Hendo. You find, Wijnaldum. I'm right in saying Wijnaldum came off, didn't he? For Fabinho in the last game. So they've both got minutes in the legs. So we should be reasonably okay. I went Trent at right back, not because I've thought about rotating him. I just think I've kind of gone, I'd rather just see him play. I like Klein and all that, like, but I think it's a decent shout playing him as a more conservative right back against Man City, and that wouldn't shock me at all. If we did similar to what they did at Anfield, and we actually went and played on our defence a little bit more in that game, said go ahead, a draw's a better result for us than it is for you. But anyway, Lovren, Van Dijk, Robbo. I went Henderson, Fabinho, and then I've gone 4-2-3-1. I put Mane on the right, Keita on the left.
So no Shaqiri.
Firmino and no Shaqiri for this one. And so, because I think we might need Shaqiri off the bench again, potentially for this one. What we've seen is Arsenal coming very strong in the second half of games. I'd like us to have another gear to go to in a similar regard. So, where they would normally break...
This is a break from the norm for you. You're very much a normally get them all on, get the goals.
Yeah. But I think that's how good we are at the minute. I think we can do that. And Shaqiri's just as good off the bench as he is starting, isn't he? So I wouldn't mind. I've got no problem with that. When Arsenal think this is kind of like United did, when Arsenal think, this is our time to strike, we just bring Shaqiri on and let him run riot against their makeshift defence, a tired makeshift defence. I like the idea. But in that, I've put Mane, Bobby, Keita behind Salah. That could just as easily be Salah from one wing, Keita as a 10, Firmino back as the 9, and we'd be just as much of a threat. So yeah, deal with that, Unai. Let's have a look at their rival fixtures then.
Are they right?
They are right this time. Yeah, I very nearly put next week's in just to make sure that it was really difficult when I was writing the City agenda, but no. Spurs, Wolves, 3 p.m. A good chance for them to close a little bit of a gap. And Wolves, as we've said,
got to keep the Wolves at bay first, though, Paul.
Wolves at bay. Get the wolf from the door.
There's your dad joke.
Yeah, nailed it. Look, we've seen Wolves ourselves. It wouldn't shock you to see Wolves pick up points here, but that's a big test for Spurs, isn't it? And I think it's actually probably a game too far for Wolves in terms of them. The
way they're playing at the moment, I mean, I could see 3-4-0 to Spurs there.
Yeah, the Wolves are typical promoted side, start really well and then tail off a bit, and they'll come back again. I think.
Yeah, obviously we're then 5:30 the Sunday. Then on the Sunday you've got Palace, Chelsea at 12. City travel to Southampton at 2:15. It's quite interesting.
I'd have been happier with that if Southampton hadn't gotten beat.
Yeah. But this is the thing about this, and following for the conversation, it was all in hope rather than expectation a week ago when we were talking about these teams, but as we've seen,
Palace were a laughing stock a week ago.
I said it ahead of the City game. You wouldn't bank on them, but they've got in Zaha and Townsend. You're never putting any money on Townsend scoring. He's not going to go week in, week out, but he does that. He does that twice a season, doesn't he? When he sticks
between him and Lovren for goal of the season so far for me. You know what I mean?
So it's possible that Chelsea could drop more points into Palace, and Southampton. You would bank City on that all day long.
Southampton had a bit of a revival under their new manager, then they go and get beat at home by West Ham.
Yeah. One thing I do like, and I think it would be brilliant, is if Ings scores in that game and they win like a 1-0 or something.
Well,
that would be the best.
Agent Ings.
That's there for us, isn't it? And we talk about how
or a penalty.
Using your squad is so important in the Premier League season, isn't it? And truly using your squad is to have Danny Ings take points.
Seed them off around the league.
What does the City team hate? Loads of lads were in your impression. What does Danny Ings absolutely love?
But that's the thing. What Southampton look at the problems they caused Arsenal a couple of weeks ago, doing the same thing, getting in Arsenal's face and causing problems. Again, I've said this, and I'll say this week in, week out. There's no way in hell that Spurs, Chelsea or Man City will drop points this weekend. They shouldn't do, because they're miles better than all the teams they're playing. But as we've seen, the footy's mad, isn't it?
Very, very rare do you get a weekend where every big club wins.
Yeah.
I was going to say, one thing I do actually like.
The problem is that's just been United for most of the season.
One thing I actually do like, and Jürgen mentioned it in his notes before the game on Boxing Day, is I like that it's a home game, and I like that it's 5:30 on a Saturday. That's like the ideal time for us to play.
That is
another day's extra rest, or at least a day's extra rest between the City game and the day off as well.
It's felt. This is one of those things, isn't it, where you look back on it, and we've had such terrible luck in terms of the time and the fixtures over the Christmas period, always under Jürgen Klopp. We've finally got the plum draw in terms of how all of these games have fallen for us. So we've got to use that to our advantage, and I agree with Jürgen and John for bringing it up. I am so excited for this game. That is exactly right. 5:30 on a Saturday night in amongst all the festive period against a really good team that wants to come to you and attack you and cause you problems. This is...
That's what you live for. That's what football's about. That's what being a fan of football's about.
I'm loads more excited about this than I am nervous, and I was more nervous about Newcastle in some regards because of that whole managers who come to spoil it are the managers that have caused us problems down the years. So hopefully Unai Emery does come all guns blazing, and we'll just see how we handle it all.
I actually think it's going to be a high scoring game. What,
5-0?
I think we might concede 2.
Okay.
But I think we'll win 3-2.
2.
Honestly, I know. I've just got one of those.
You had a brainstorm.
2-0 up, and all the Arsenal fans are preparing the Invincibles memes, and then going to win 5-0. John, what's your score prediction for this one?
I think we win 3-1.
Okay.
3-1.
4-0.
Wow. 3-2.
I'll take a 4-0 as well, Dad. Oh, I'm here for that. There's any score predictions, any preferred 11s in the comments underneath. Yes, please, as Ed mentioned, they do go over and subscribe to the redmentv.com for multiple reasons. Not only do we give you loads of excellently produced content on a weekly basis, tons and tons of value for money, both in video and in podcast form, but it does support everything we do on the channel, so it makes the free stuff available to you guys who maybe can't afford it or aren't old enough to subscribe to it, etc. So if you are and you want to support us, please do. And if you want all the extra content, it's there for you. Enjoy it. Other than that, thank you very much. Drop a like on this video if you think Liverpool can maintain this unbeaten run against the Gunners. There'll be hopefully a preview with Robbie Lyle from Arsenal Fan TV if he ever gets here. And other than that, we shall see you all post-match, hopefully with big smiles on our face and a big bow wrapped around 2018.